If you want to be a part of the business, have something to offer. If you don't have nothing to offer, don't expect to be a part of the business. I'm also very good at being able to monetize digitally. So being able to come up with concepts or marketing ploys that will allow you to make that kind of extra money, or even rejig your services in a way that you can add more value to allow yourself to charge more. Like that's what I enjoy doing. I do it in my sleep.
You do not make the millions and the thousands in, as you said, the first couple of years. If you do, congratulations, like big up you, but it takes work.
You charge £40 for a set of lashes. You can now package it into saying, okay, now it's going to be £50 for a set of lashes, but you get free brows.
I like that.
As soon as somebody hears free brows, they're like, oh, yeah, I'm doing that. They're not really realising there's actually £15 on top of the original price, right?
You're giving the secret away.
I am giving the secret away, but that's the point. Thank you in advance for listening, because it means that my confidence grows. Thank you for subscribing, because it means that I get to share more. And thank you for commenting, because it means that I get to listen to you. And thank you in advance for sharing, because that's confirmation that we inspired you to inspire others. I pray that you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed creating it. This is the Promisingpreneur podcast. I am Aahliyah Amerat, and today I am here again with Felicia.
Hey!
Because she's going to ask me questions about my past experiences with the beauty business, partnerships that I've had, and some other bits and bobs about business on a whole back in the day.
Yes, back in the day. Okay, we're here again. It's lovely to have you on the other side of the couch. Sorry.
Thank you.
But yeah, I wanted to talk to you about obviously your past business, because I understand that you had you actually had a high street shop, and you went through that via a business partnership. So if you could go into it a little bit for us.
Okay, so 2018, I decided to open up a salon. I had a studio salon before that for about 4 years, maybe. About 4 years, where I done training, but it was literally just like a studio on top of, it was an old fire station. And in the fire station, it had different businesses, but at the kind of subsidized rent, because they were for new businesses and young entrepreneurs basically. And from there, I only had 2 lash beds, because I trained in semi-permanent lashes, semi-permanent brows and makeup. Those were my kind of specialities. I started doing lashes way before the hype.
Right, I was about to say.
And then I started to train. So I started to train in semi-permanent lashes, Russian volumes, classics, and then makeup and also brows. From that, my biggest the biggest thing that I wanted to be able to do was teach the business behind the beauty. So there wasn't a world of freelancers that would kind of go out there and end up just continuously working for themselves. I wanted them to train with me for the actual practical beauty, but then also train and understand the business behind it. So then to move from, and I've mentioned this in the past, to not be self-employed and be in that trap, but then to move from self-employment to business, and then they can start employing people, or they can start creating products and selling products, or whatever it may be, but building a business that allows them automation, so they don't have to be there consistently. Because being in beauty, it is a very, if you're not there, you don't make the money, right? So it's a trap that a lot of people kind of go into, which is great for the first few years, and you're loving life. You've consistently got clients, you're booked up, you're all good, you're happy, you're charging decent prices, and then your back starts caving in, or you get
burnout.
Yeah, you get burnout because you feel like you can't say no to certain clients or whatever it may be. So anyway, I started I got the studio salon. I trained a few apprentices. I also had a few interns. Taught them how to train, as well as taught them how to do like lashes and brows and stuff. So then they started working for me, making me money, so then I didn't have to consistently be there. And then from that, I actually decided I wanted to go traveling, because I felt a lot of burnout at the time. I was working really, really hard. I was probably about 19, 20 maybe at the time. I was 20 at the time actually, because I came back the day of my 21st birthday.
Oh, wow.
So I went traveling for 5.5 months, and I went to Thailand, Cambodia, and China. It was probably one of the best experiences of my life, because it was a solo trip. 5.5 months. Yeah.
Interesting. Again, you're the lover of the clouds, so.
I am a lover of the clouds. That burnout drove me to quite a bit of depression. I was dealing with a lot like relationship issues at the time as well. So then I ended up feeling like I just wanted to give up. To be honest with you, it was probably one of the most darkest points. Even though business was thriving, it was probably one of my most darkest points in life and like in my growing years. I went from having this, because of that burnout, when I came back from traveling, I was like, I'm not doing beauty no more.
Wow.
I was like, that's it. I'm not doing it. I'm not touching beauty. Fuck it. And then I actually came back and was like, I actually don't want to run a business.
Wow, okay.
I didn't want to run a business because I felt like I just didn't want the pressure. And I actually know a couple people that feel like this, and they don't want to be in business. They don't have the desire to be in business because the pressure of being a CEO or a founder it's not a joke, right? So that feeling of just wanting to give everything up, I went into then employment, and I was like, oh, well, I've never been in employment in my life. I don't have a clue on I don't even know what flipping CV is, if I'm honest with you. Never written one in my life. So I had to go through the learning curve of writing a CV and all of that stuff. To be 100% honest with you, I didn't remotely write any kind of CV. I just knocked on a few doors in terms of spoke to a few of my friends and was just like, listen, have you got a job? But all of my friends that were working, a lot of them was estate agents or managers of estate agents, or like they were in a decent level when it came to properties. So I was like, I don't need to send a goddamn CV. Just give me a job.
Because you've got friends in high places,
right? I was like, sort me out. And then within 2 weeks, I was a lettings manager in Hart in Ilford.
Wow.
So, which was crazy. And then I kind of got my own place and moved to Ilford, right behind the estate agents. And it was about 7 months, I think, I stayed there. And not long after starting that job, I realised that this is the worst pay I've ever received in my life, and I'm working way more hours than I have ever worked in my life. That doesn't make sense.
Right.
So I was like, and then my thought process for having a house myself, I was like, okay, cool. Well, I wasn't equipped as a young person in business to understand about taxes and things like that. So I didn't do anything. Honestly, I didn't do anything in a legitimate way. To be able to be eligible as a self-employed person for a mortgage. So I was like, okay, the easiest way for me to get a mortgage is to be employed. So then essentially I was only in that estate agents, kind of because I didn't want to be in business, not forever, but for that time period, because I was like, I just want a bit of a break where I go to the job, I leave and I shut off and I don't have to think about anything
right
when I leave, right? That was the kind of the first thing. But then the second thing was, I really want a mortgage and I really want to buy a property. The easiest and quickest way for me to do that is be 3 months employed, right? And then very quickly I realised that that pay obviously wasn't
Enough.
it. So then I started doing lashes again.
Wow.
So then I would work Monday to Friday or Monday to Saturday. Yeah, Monday to Saturday in the estate agents, and then weekends and like evenings. I'll do probably about 2 or 3 clients every evening from Monday. So I still had a massive client base that I kind of just messaged again and was like, oh, I'm actually back. Like, I'm not traveling no more. And everybody would travel to me based on the quality of work that I produced.
Nice.
So I had like double the income then, and I was able to kind of save a lot, and I'm saving, and it got to about a year and it's 2017 June, July I started the job. By 2018 October I quit, and instead of buying a house I put all that money into a salon. I then got my salon, leased the property, gutted out. It was on Roman Road. It used to be a 2-story laundrette. Gutted it out completely. And bear in mind, like, a laundrette has enormous amounts of machinery and all it, like, just, there's a lot, like the power supplies are completely different because they're like industrial power supplies and all that kind of stuff. Had to gut everything, electrics, everything. Downstairs actually wasn't used, so they didn't have like stairs going downstairs. The access was through the flat that was at the back, but the downstairs was a part of the property, so we could use it if we wanted to, or if we didn't, like, we didn't have to. So anyway, I was in my estate agent's role. I changed into property management through the year of me working, because I was like, I'm not working on bloody commission, like, for pittance money. And because the aim of being in that employment was for a mortgage, the commission would have hindered me getting a mortgage. So I was like, I just need to get the biggest salary, base salary that I can get. So I went into property management, which was no commission and just the salary. So yeah, went into property management, and in that property management role that I was in, I had my office manager at the time. I started doing her lashes, and every time she would, obviously for months I was doing her lashes whilst I was working as a property manager, and she was like, you're so passionate about this stuff, why don't you do this, like, just get a salon, like, what are you doing, why are you here, you don't want to be here? And I was like, I know I don't want to be here, but I'm here to get a house, like, I'm legit, like, that's the only reason why I'm here. I'll be running several different businesses doing X, Y, and Z if that wasn't kind of the easiest thing I could do, right? So then she was just like, well, and then I was just like to her, honestly, I don't want to put in my own money. I don't want to put in my own money because it will cost a lot to renovate or to make the salon look the way that I want it to look. In terms of, my standards are quite high. Like, I'm very particular in the way things are, and I'm not the person to kind of cut corners or open up a salon and it's got like ripped paint or like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's just not. I was like, I'm going to do it properly, and it's going to be one of them places that you're going to go to and say, wow, this is lovely. Service wise and aesthetic wise. So conversations kind of started going, and then in October she was like, look, I've actually got some money in a trust that either needs to be reinvested, which will be stuck again for a few years, or I can take it out and just then like invest it into you. And I was like, oh okay. That works. Yeah. Because then my money that I'm putting down for my house can stay for my house. Right. And I can use other people's money.
Exactly.
Yeah. OPM. So I was like, okay, that makes sense. I could do that. And then we sat down, had a few conversations. We started looking at properties, like potential salon properties and stuff. And then we found the laundrette.
Sorry, it kind of felt like your steps were already ordered, because you had that burnout from the studio business. You came back, you went into property, and then within property you found someone that could invest in your business, and then obviously you have access to understanding properties because you work in estate agents. So it kind of felt like your steps were ordered, even though obviously I'm sure at the time when you traveled for those 5 months, I remember you saying that you was going through different things in your life and coming back, but it seems like your steps were ordered.
100%. And one thing I believe with my whole heart, divine timing, God's timing, the universe's timing, whoever you want to talk about, your time will be your time when it's your time. And I trust so hard in my timing, because it's never failed me. Even when it hasn't turned up when I've wanted it to turn up. When I look back at, like in hindsight, and I look back at my story and I look back at the things that's happened to me, even like with relationships and finding things out, and like everything has happened on time, on the dot, when it needed to.
Yes.
So it's like, so my first business partnership started there. And as all partnerships, when they start, they're the best. You're in honeymoon period, right? You're in high spirits, everything is exciting, everything is new, everything is working, even if it's not, it feels like it's working, right? And then, a few months in, the conversation changed. The conversation changed from, I'm going to be an investor, to, and I want to quit this job too. And I now want to be a part of the salon. And one thing that obviously, for me, I have been building a brand around lashes and makeup and beauty for near enough 8 years at that time. So for then somebody that has no knowledge of the beauty business in any way, shape or form to come in and originally say they're going to invest their money because they believe in me, to then turn around and say, well, no, actually, I'm going to quit my job too. The problem, which I'd already identified with beauty businesses, is starting and maintaining a salon costs a shitload of money, right? Especially if you're doing renovations and things like that, right? So it near enough cost me about 50,000 to renovate the property, right? Gutted the whole place out, built stairs, cut a hole in the floor to make stairs, repainted, refloored, created a brand new kitchen, created a brand new toilet, the decor, bought a coffee machine because the idea was to essentially it was on Roman Road, so it was quite a bougie, plush road, right? It's it's a famous road in East London, and essentially the target audience, they're a little bit more middle class, maybe a little bit more affluent, maybe yummy mummies that just go to the cafe and sit down. So I was like, okay, cool. Let's have a coffee machine. So instead of it being just like we've got kettle and stuff, we actually had a whole barista, right?
Nice.
So we had a whole massive coffee machine, cost about £8,500, beautiful, it was white and chrome, like it fit perfectly in the aesthetics. But that whole concept of it being a coffee bar and a lash bar all kind of in one costs a lot of money to create, but then to maintain, if there is people in the salon that don't bring in money and only cost money, it's a problem. Hence why when you go to a lot of salons, there is no receptionist. The receptionist is another stylist, right? The stylist will take turns being receptionist, or there's no receptionist at all. Why? Because that's dead money. You're going to pay somebody a salary to sit there and book in appointments. Yes, it's much easier for the stylist to be able to have somebody do that for you. However, it costs a whole year's salary. So everyone that is working and actually doing the treatments has to make up for that extra person's wages.
Makes sense.
It's dead money. That's an extra cost for no reason. So as soon as she turned around and said that she wanted to be a part of the business, my heart sank. Because that's an extra 25 to 35,000, and to be realistically, she was on a decent salary before, like she was office manager.
Yeah,
you're on
of
a
course.
very, very good salary, right? Plus commission, because you do lettings as well. So to then leave a base salary that works for you and your family, to then come into a startup salon, the responsibility of making her wages was mine.
Oh my God.
So that partnership started to break down before it even started. The salon wasn't even open and that partnership started to break down. And now I felt stuck at the time because she put in the money. But then what also happened was she put in the money, and as most projects, most construction projects, it goes over budget. The extra money had to come from somewhere, and it came from our house fund. Because I've started my salon. It's got my name that I've had for the past 8 years on that wall, vividly as on the front. I've had a 5-star reputation since I've started. I'm not about to make that shit drop. So I was like, at the end of the day, it's my name on the wall, regardless of the fact that she'd said that she was going to put in all the money. She doesn't have the rest of the money. We're now over budget by X amount. It has to be paid. I'm paying it. So my experience with partnerships have been, it's great and it's lovely having somebody when you're in a honeymoon period. But if you don't have a strong enough bond, or if you don't have a strong enough relationship, and both of you don't have thick enough skin to talk the real shit to each other without feeling defensive or without feeling put under pressure or anything like that, if you can't and don't have that relationship, you will find it extremely difficult months down the line, years down the line, maybe tens of years down the line. You will find it difficult at some point.
So do you kind of feel like, so I'm going to ask this, do you feel like she went from an investor to an employer, meaning that she obviously saw that, okay, this is making money, this can make more money than I'm possibly working, but she doesn't have the experience, so obviously she has to rely on you. So as the business partner, she's obviously come on board, she's obviously in the salon and now overseeing. Was it like an overseeing of the running of the business, or how did that work?
No, because she has no experience with the business. She doesn't know how it's supposed to be run. But also, if I'm 100% honest with you, there's not a lot of people that can act as my employer. It's not, I'm not the easiest person to be told. And that's because, like, I was a born entrepreneur. I was a born leader. There is no way somebody could come into something that I have been actively building for X amount of years and come in and try to dictate. The feeling that I had was my story that I told myself. It was never that she came to me and said, oh, well, I think you should do this, you should do this. She didn't do that, because she knew my worth, and she knew that, to be honest with you, this whole business, everything about this has happened because I'd already been doing it, right? So she didn't undermine me in any way, so I won't say that of her at all. It was just that, and the craziest thing is, I don't blame her. Like, I understand that she wanted to feel a sense of being her own boss, and that opportunity is now arised. So why? Of course, she doesn't want to stay in employment and know that a whole business is running that she has invested into. And do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, of course, like I probably wouldn't either. But the difference was, in my opinion, and the facts of the matter is she failed the business before it started because she added an extra expense. So then what ended up happening was I had this extensive plan of hiring, of training, of everything about the running of that salon, right? I had this extensive plan, and I was like to her, okay, cool. You want to be a part of this and be in here? You need to learn how to make this place money and generate income, because I cannot be responsible for earning your wage as well as mine, as well as the bills. Right? Yes, I charge a decent amount when it comes to like my beauty services based on my level of experience and based on my level of service. However, it still doesn't amount to being able to pay my full wage, her full wage, plus the bills of the property. So it was like, okay, cool, learn this, learn that, learn how to do marketing so you can take on that responsibility, learn how to automate certain things so we can palm off the responsibility of reception work to automations, so we don't have to do a lot of that, like, etc. Right? And there was loads of different strategies that I kind of went down and was like, okay, unfortunately you have to learn this because this is not your realm. Like, maybe in terms of doing something a bit more practical, so like lashes or makeup or anything like that, that's not your forte because you're not creative in that sense. But what you can do is massaging. What you can do is maybe, like, do you know what I mean? Something that doesn't require you to have a particular eye, you can massage. All you need to know is a technique. Cool, you go and learn how to do that. However, issues arise to the motivation to do those things, which inevitably caused friction between us. Because my whole stance at the beginning was, you're costing me money. That means you're costing this business money. Now, we was fine for a long period of time, and based on her nature and her just being a nice person, we got along. Eventually, my resentment grew too far. And what ended up happening is as you've already rightly noticed, I am a lover of the clouds. I went from traveling 5-6 times a year at minimum to not going nowhere for a whole year. I mean, I say for a whole year. It was
6 months.
Well, yeah, about 6 months. So I was no, longer than that actually. It was longer than that. It was from say maybe summer 2017, because I went to, but as soon as I came back from traveling, a couple months later I actually went, or a couple weeks later, I think I went to Ibiza or somewhere like that. And then I didn't go nowhere from like end of 2017, middle of 2018 till May 2019.
And obviously that would affect you, because as before, when you felt like, or when you was burnt out, you travelled, you reset and you come back, but you didn't have the time to travel and reset.
Precisely. Exactly that. I didn't have my time that I needed to comprehend everything that was going on, to accept it and say I can work with it. Because it's now my salon, my name's on the wall, my reputation's at stake, my clients need me and want me to do the work. The bills need to be paid based on me doing the physical work, which takes away everything that I believed in based on being in business and not being self-employed. Because regardless of me having this salon, I was still bloody self-employed. It was a trap, right? So that burnout happened again, but that burnout turned into resentment. Because there was a part of me that was just like, well, I'm not to blame because I had a strict plan that was gonna work, right? So that experience was difficult. And then the craziest thing about it is I ended up having to deal with an extremely personal matter in the midst of one of the biggest challenges that I'd ever gone through with business, right? Because I had to learn how to deal with and I had to learn how to deal with that partnership. I had to learn how to deal with the salon at the same time. I had to learn how to be a good leader. I had to carry on hiring people and bringing people into the space, even though I didn't feel like it was as homely and as loving as I wanted it to be anymore. All these strategies and marketing plans and all this kind of stuff that I wanted to do, I didn't have time to do because I would do clients from 10 o'clock in the morning till about 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. And then from that, from 10 till about 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm doing paperwork, or I'm doing some kind of marketing, or I'm doing some kind of social media, or whatever it may be. It was like there was no stop for me to sit down, but yet I've got a whole business partner, I've got a whole person that's here doing, essentially at the time it just felt like jack shit. Obviously it would be like she would clean and like things like that. We can get a bloody cleaner. We can get a cleaner. Like we just need, I'd rather you be able to bring in an income and we pay somebody £20 to do the cleaning than you be the cleaner and me pay you a whole salary to be a bloody cleaner. Like it was that kind of thought process.
Right.
And then like going through a personal situation and a personal breakup at the exact same time, it was like,
it's too much.
Damn.
I need to go in the clouds now.
Clouds, please.
Take me.
Take me, because Lord God.
So was there an initial agreement, contract? Was it initially like she saying, or your business partner saying, okay, this is what I want on my return, or like, was there an agreement or a contract there and then it just changed?
Yeah. And instead of me sticking to my intuition or to my guns and saying,
that's not what is written.
No. It became, because we was friends, right? So we was friends, and in my head I was like, do you know what? You're a hard worker. You'll make it, like, you'll work. Assuming the good in the person to do the work. But then when it came down to it, it was a lot more difficult for her to adjust as well, right? Like, again, brand new industry, brand new way of doing things. Like, all these things are different for her also. At the time, I wasn't looking at that. At the time, I just thought, what the fuck, right? But in hindsight, I'm like, I understand that it's a brand new industry. It's a brand new way of doing things. It's a brand new set of responsibilities when you've already got home responsibilities and you've already got this and that, and then the idea of the fact that you've invested so much money, and so now the weight of the fact that you've put in all this money, so you need to see it work and all that kind of stuff. I get that. But yeah, a contract is extremely important. However, if you are the person setting a contract, or you are in agreement or creating an agreement with somebody, you do definitely need to make sure, which is something that I've learned, is you stick to your guns. Like, you stick to what is on that contract, regardless on how close you may be, regardless on whatever, right? Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Interesting. So what I've gathered from, obviously, you speaking on this, is that obviously being a business partner, you don't actually have to know the business. So how does one, I'm going to say it like this, how does one become a business partner? They may not know the business, they may not know how to do lashes or etc., but they obviously believe in the person they want to partner. What tip would you give to that business partner, again, that doesn't know the business, that doesn't know what they're truly investing in, but they're investing in the person because they see the potential and they know, they've seen the results, they've seen the stats, they've seen the percentages, they've seen the turnover. If that business partner wants to invest in the person but not know the business, what tip would you give them?
If you want to be a part of the business, have something to offer. If you don't have nothing to offer, don't expect to be a part of the business. And you could offer anything. It could be that you have a particular particular expertise in something, right? Like, okay, bottom line is, if the expertise that you are bringing in doesn't cost money, then you're good. But if the expertise that you're bringing in costs money, yeah, and doesn't bring in any money, rethink if your value is necessary, right? Like, if you look at it this way, the cost of a receptionist, I could pay somebody 15,000 a year to be a receptionist. I could get an intern to be a receptionist, right? My business partner's level of experience requires 30,000, 40,000. Her office managerial role that she was in before was given her 30, 40 grand a year, right? So your 30, 40 grand, if you decide that you now want to leave that to come into a small business that currently doesn't have the cash flow nor the revenue, right, to pay you that amount comfortably, right, without being it doesn't have that much. Your value essentially is higher than what's needed.
If you're enjoying this podcast so far, this is only going to annoy you if you're a hater. Click subscribe, click follow, and drop a quick comment. And if you've done all of those already, then send me a 5-star review, because honestly, it's the only way we survive on the internet. Thank you.
Right?
Yeah.
So you now coming in as a receptionist, you're just a fucking expensive receptionist. That's costing the business money. So you have to look at it in all different angles, right? Then you have to look at it as, okay, cool, well, you're doing the receptionist work, you're doing the cleaning work, you're doing the barista work. All of those salaries put together, right, is you could turn around and do it this way. Cleaner will get, I don't know, say 15,000 a year. A barista can get 18,000 a year, and a receptionist can get 20,000 a year. Therefore, my salary should amount to 60 grand a year. This is a small business. This is a high street, brand new business. It don't fucking work like that, right? It doesn't work like that. Your value doesn't matter at this point. What you need to understand is you should be doing the receptionist, barista, and the cleaning for free for the first year, to allow the company to start turning over a certain amount of substantial revenue that allows you then to invest into something else that brings you more money to then pay you your salary next year. That should have been the way to go about it, right? I'm a different case. Why? Because the work that I'm doing is the actual clients, which brings in the direct income. Indirectly, a cleaner, receptionist, and barista indirectly all bring in the money, 100%. However, it doesn't directly bring in the money. It directly costs money, right? So understanding that if you are an investor or you're looking to put money into somebody's business, you can advise that person. You can be like, look at the business as a whole and then choose where you put your input. If anything, the smartest thing to do is allow somebody else to run the business, i.e. allow me to run the business because it's my expertise, and you go off and make an extra income, and then guess what? Every year you get paid a dividends. So you get this random bonus for the fact that the whole year has been a success. But people don't think like that because it's either greed or uneducated or not educated enough, or the idea of business seems so luxurious and you seem to think that the money's just going to flow onto your plate, and then it becomes a shit show.
I'm enjoying this. I love this. I love the reality of this all, because it basically puts more understanding behind the bio in your Instagram saying co-partner or business partner of. It's more than that. It's more than the title of a CEO, chairman, whatever you want to call yourself. If you are not bringing money into the business and you're bringing in dead money, or you're costing money, like, why are you here?
It's a downward spiral, unfortunately, and a lot of people don't realize that the title of CEO, CEO, founder means that you take a pay cut.
And you carry all of the weight.
Exactly. It doesn't mean instant payday. It probably means no payday for a good flipping 5 to 10 years, maybe.
And you've put perspective on that, because you already ran a business before you went off into the clouds and you got burnt out. Because even though it wasn't a high street salon, you still had a studio, you still had your bills, you had your own bills, your dream to have your home and stuff like that. So not only was you working tirelessly, you also was thinking long term about your mortgage house and stuff like that. So, and you was going through your relationship stuff as well. So of course, go into the clouds and take a break. But it was a thing where I think, and that's how a lot of people start off with their small businesses, either at home or a small studio space, and then they grow largely. But you do not make the millions and the thousands in, as you said, the first couple years. If you do, congratulations, like big up you. But it takes work. There's weight behind, there's work behind the CEO, the founder. There's weight behind these titles.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Sorry, I just had to. I can't remember what I was about to say, but yeah, very interesting.
You know, I had another experience with a partnership, and in this partnership, I actually thought I'd do something different. From having the salon, I actually ended up selling my shares of the salon and leaving the salon to her.
No, you didn't.
I did.
Your name?
No, not my name.
It changed.
Yeah. Name changed. A couple things changed, but I think by the end of that experience, I was burnt out again. And realised that, there's in another episode where we spoke about technology and where tech came into it for me. The period of me having to deal with this partnership and having to deal with the salon and things like that, my love for beauty dwindled again. And I was just like, this is not the reason why I came back into this. I want to be able to teach. I want to be able to train. And in that salon, because I was so wrapped up in being the lash technician, I didn't have time to train. So my whole business model of training and making money through teaching, it was originally a part of the business plan in the salon, but because of the fact that my time was spread thin, I didn't have the actual capacity to be able to do the teaching or to even set up that side of things. So by the end of the first year in business, I was just like, even though I have put in my time, effort, thousands of pounds, my money for my house, like even though I've put in all of this stuff, I have to let this go. And at the time, I was just like, I would just leave it and give it all to you. I don't even care anymore. Like, that is how bad it got. Like, the resentment, the burnout, the frustration, like, it was just like, I had to sit down for a while and say, what is it that you want with your life? Talk to you, like I had to talk to myself and say exactly what I wanted my life to look like, and we'll start working my way backwards and do a whole reverse engineering process that most people would probably do in January at the beginning of the year when they're setting their goals. I had to do that in like September of 2019, and I was like, look, my relationship with my long-term partner has just broken down. Good riddance. My relationship with my business partner is breaking down. Fuck. My love for beauty is dwindling. Shit. this is all I've actually known for God knows how many years of my whole life, whole working life. Fuck, what do I do? So I got to this point of like really trying to drill down on what I wanted for myself and like how I wanted to live my life and the type of man that I wanted, the type of life that I wanted, the type of like how much money did I want on a regular basis, how much money did I want in the bank, how much money did I want to invest, who did I want to talk to on a daily, like as detailed as that. And I think I spoke about this with Nissi, like reverse engineering your goals, on another episode. Like, it was so paramount to do it at that point when I felt like everything was kind of breaking down. I was able to get to the ideology of, and I actually done that. Jordan Rianne came to do her lashes in the salon one day, and she's gone, Leah, man, you look stressed. She was like, geez. She's like, do you want to come Croatia tomorrow? I said, hell fucking yeah, let's go.
Wow. Off to the clouds again.
Off to the clouds. Was it September? Yeah, it was right like middle of September. She's gone, yeah, I'm going tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning. She's gone, see if there's a flight. I said, cool. Booked the flight. I actually got there a few hours before she did, so I was just walking around for like a good few hours. And then she came and then we went to a wellness retreat in Croatia.
Wow. And
it was a moment to just settle. Like, she'd just come off a Love Island, so she was going through a lot at the time. I was going through a lot with the business, and it was kind of like, it was just a moment for us to really zen out, done some yoga, went on the mountains, like a beautiful just fitness retreat, loads of fitness activities, ate really well. And by the end of it, I said, yeah, I'm going to give it up. I said, I'm just going to give it up because it's not worth it. I actually don't want to do this with my life. The smart thing to do, and I thought about it at the time, the smart thing to do would be, okay, cool, Aahliyah, you step back and you allow the salon to carry on and you earn the dividends. And then I thought, no, fuck that. I can't be bothered. Wow. I don't even want to see your face.
So you gave up?
I gave up. I did.
You walked it out?
I walk it out.
Wow. Sorry, I had to put that in there.
I was like, this is not what I want for my life. And also, it's not fulfilling me. I don't care about being a lash technician. I don't care about, I love the idea that I can make somebody feel good by making them look good. Because that's always been I've been in beauty and fashion since secondary school, right? So the idea of being able to change somebody's perspective of themselves through beauty, through something that I can do for them, made me happy. However, the purpose of that was not the purpose of my life.
It was costing you a piece as well.
It cost me more than it was adding to me. So I was like, okay, cool. Let me leave it. Let me just sell on my shares. I just go, you do what you're doing, take on this, do what you're doing. Be easy. You take over, you be the boss. And we had a few like mediation conversations where we both had representatives to be able to talk it out.
Wow.
Because we couldn't come to an agreement at that particular point, right? And I think unfortunately partnerships can get really ugly.
And
it's
like a
sad.
relationship, right?
Oh, it is a relationship. Marriage? Yes, 100%. It's literally like a divorce. And it's sad because before all of it, you was friends, right? And that's what's really detrimental for you to understand when you're going into a partnership, is that this could end badly. You have to be willing to end that relationship or be willing to compromise. And sometimes I was willing to compromise, sometimes I wasn't. Sometimes I was like, what? No, what? Getting all street.
Yeah.
And then other times I'm like, I understand. We're all human. We go through shit, blah, blah, blah. And it's mad conflicting views and feelings. And yeah, it's learning how to navigate through all of that. It was a bit of a shambles. But decided to let go of it because I wanted to be able to, and that's where my specifically when I was like, okay, I could actually do more by teaching. I could do more if I introduced tech into my life. So my understanding and my interest in technology started to grow. I'd go home from the salon and start looking at YouTube about different technical businesses or whatever it may be. And yeah, and then hold on, I don't even know what the bloody saying is, but God knows that divine timing, as I said to you from the beginning, is my savior. Like, Allah gives me exactly what I need at the exact right time. Right?
100%.
Pandemic happened.
Oh, all right. Before we just I want to hear about the pandemic, but before I go into that, obviously you've built a relationship with your business partner, but also you built a relationship with your employees. You built a relationship with your customers. So you walking away from the business wasn't just walking away from the business partnership and the business. You obviously had to walk away from relationships that you built via employees and your clients, customers.
No.
You didn't?
They're all mine.
So they walked with you?
I was a technician. Where else were they going to go?
Oh. I was going to take up my water, but this sounds like tea.
You want tea?
Yeah. Oh, it's cold, it's fine. So they walked with you?
What are they going to do? Stay in the salon and no one can do their eyelash? Or their eyebrow, or their makeup, or give them advice the way that I gave them advice. I was the technician.
Wow. Okay, you can take back your coat tea now.
It's cold, isn't it?
It's cold. Wow, that's crazy.
But I decided, and I did tell everybody that I'm not doing it no more. So I gave up on actually doing lashes. I stopped literally everything. And I was like, I'm traveling. I'm going to America and I want to move to America. And everyone was just like...
Yes. That's during pandemic, right?
Well, just before the pandemic happened.
Tell us about that.
So everything with the salon kind of came to a halt around November 2019. And I was like, yep, so I actually went into to kind of like wind down with my clients, and like the few clients that I knew didn't really want to give up on doing their lashes until I was like gone. I was doing lashes I just hired Shade of Beauty's room in Stratford, which is a nail technician. Amazing nail technician. To be fair, I should probably get her on here. Interesting. Write that down, please.
Yes, we'll do, boss.
So yeah, I went into Shades of Beauty salon, and she had like a spare room that she wasn't really using, so I was doing lashes in there. Kind of moved a couple, like my bed and a couple bits and bobs in there. So from November to December until I left to go to New York, I was just doing lashes as and when I wanted to. Back on kind of like a freelance basis. And then, yeah, I was like, I'm going to America, and I was like, I want to move, so I'm going to have a leave and do. I'm going to deuces, everyone. I'm out. I'm going to go explore America. Then I want to go to Canada. Then I want to go to India, do a yoga course, and then come back and whatever. That was the plan of 2020. January 2nd, I think I went to America. I went and stayed with my best friend because she moved out there. One of my best friends moved out there about 6-7 years ago now. So she had a house and stuff. So I was like, oh, easy. Like I can just... She was like, yeah, of course, like come. And she'd been bugging me to go for years. And that was the first time that I went to America as well. No, I lied. I actually went a few months before that with Jordan. Anyway, I went to stay with with one of my girls in New Jersey, and kind of like it's right next to New York, so I was kind of in and out of New York City. Went to New York Fashion Week and all of this stuff, and then it was great. It was fun. It was a moment for me to reset. It was my moment to get back in the clouds, reset. I was like, I have nothing to worry about. I ain't got bills to pay like that. I've sold everything. I don't have a car no more. I don't have a flat no more. I've got rid of everything. Don't have a salon no more. Nothing.
Wow.
1 and 2 credit card debts maybe, but that's about it. Right?
The reality.
It's facts. And then I was like, okay, maybe I should think about what was I thinking about? Obviously, I was trying to get into tech.
Yeah.
But it's massive learning curve. Like, never been in tech in my life. Don't know what the heck. Like, feeling mad imposter syndrome because I'm like, I don't know nothing about tech, therefore I can't really go into it. So not even having any experience with knowing anybody in tech to kind of ask them any questions, it was a bit of a it was a massive learning period, right? But then whilst all of that was happening, I was like, oh, maybe I could do project management. I paid for a course in project management. I started doing the course whilst I was at my friend's house. We was living it large, doing what I was doing, and then pandemic. Like,
oh my gosh.
And you see, no offense, but I said, thank the Lord. I said, Jazakallah khairan, because I cannot fathom if I was still in that salon right now. I would be screwing. Beauty industry was the first and the last to open back up.
Timing. Divine timing.
I tell everybody, say I'm blessed, you know. I'm blessed. And no one can put any bad mouth on me because I am blessed, and there is nothing. I will believe it to the death of me, and I have so much gratitude for it, right? Because time and time again, things will happen and appear in life. And at the time, it seems like a shit show. But months down the line, maybe even years down the line, I'm like, damn, if it didn't happen then, when would it have happened?
Oh my God. Sorry, I just had to do the song. I am blessed. I am blessed every day of my life. Hey, wow. This is the importance of divine timing. Wow.
Yeah.
Whew. Okay, so I remember when I met you in February, and we were talking and stuff like that, and I remember we was on the phone once, and she was like, Felicia, I'm going to call you back, I'm just going to my clients. I was like, who's your client? And he was like, oh, just this salon on a high street, can't remember. So I know you was doing, like, was it mentorship or coaching?
Yeah, so opportunity presented itself, and the opportunity was, I love teaching. I like creating courses. I am very good at facilitating. So when the pandemic happened, I'm also very good at being able to monetize digitally. So being able to come up with concepts or market employees that will allow you to make that kind of extra money, or even rejig your services in a way that you can add more value to allow yourself to charge more. Like, that's what I enjoy doing. I kind of do it in my sleep. Like, it's something that I'm just, I don't know where I got it from. It's just something I could do. So as that happened, as the pandemic happened, and everything went digital, every single salon shut down. My background was salon, so I know exactly what you're going through. I know exactly what the trials and tribulations are. I know exactly how you're making your money. I know where you're probably losing money because I saw it for my own eyes and my own experiences.
Before the pandemic.
Exactly. So I'm like, okay, cool. I know that you're probably not doing anything digitally. Now's my time to become a coach and a mentor for salon owners and salons to be able to monetize during the pandemic. So I started going into different salons, and essentially, well, I say go to different salons. I used to speak to different salon owners and support them in rejigging their business plan, or even in most cases creating a business plan, because a lot of them kind of just wing it and they just open up for the sake of it. and redefining a lot of their customers, redefining their message, redefining their social presence, and then also maybe then either creating a product that they can create online or some kind of lead magnet to allow them to start building up customers for when pandemic stopped. So then they had a kind of flowing customer base as soon as the doors opened again, kind of thing. Or it would be that I would support them in adding more value to what they're already doing, and that could be upping their service in some way, shape or form. It could be adding a new service that didn't actually take them long to learn. Do you know what I mean? Or it could be just repackaging something. So I used to do a lot like eye combos, and an eye combo would be doing a lash treatment and a brow treatment together. So instead of now, like, to doing a brow treatment, threading brows takes someone that's good and quick 5 to 6 minutes, right? Adding that as an extra service, instead of charging £40 for a set of lashes, right, which is on the lower end, you charge £40 for a set of lashes. You can now package it into saying, okay, now it's going to be £50 for a set of lashes, but you get free brows.
I like that.
As soon as somebody hears free brows, they're like, oh, yeah, I'm doing that. They're not really realising there's actually £15 on top of the original price, right?
You're giving the secret away.
I am giving the secret away, but that's the point.
But this is what you do in your consultations with beauty owners, high street salon owners, emerging brands.
Yeah.
Emerging, because there's obviously, as you said, you had the eyelash salon before it got big. So now it's all about aesthetics now.
Yeah.
So do you think that you can help those that are in the aesthetic business? Do you think that you can help them with like the same things that you learn in the eyelash
Yes.
beauty industry? It's the same thing, right?
Yes, most definitely. However, I will be honest, I don't believe anybody that's not trained as a nurse should be doing aesthetics. Period. You're working with injectables, you're working with the anatomy. Like, you need to understand the nerves in someone's face. You need to understand certain things for you to be able to put Botox and fillers in someone and you've just learned over the course of a weekend. I will not trust you. Unfortunately, I'm so sorry if there is, I know a number of people that do it. I personally just wouldn't trust it. So yeah, and like it's like with lashes. Nowadays you can get a lash course for £50. Whereas when I paid for it, it was £1,500.
Crazy.
Like, the difference is mad. And then you can't get nowadays you can get your certificate within the same hour of you learning it. Whereas I didn't get my certificate until about 6 months later, because you had to come back with case studies and do a certain amount of lashes until you got your certificate. So it's like with aesthetics now, it's the same kind of thing. You can do a day's training and be qualified as to do injectables, but yet you ain't got a bloody clue on what you're doing. So then, like with lashes, what ended up happening was a lot of people would end up with really, really thick, massive lashes that would damage their actual eyelashes. Lashes would drop out, red eyes, all of this stuff, because the technician doesn't actually understand or know the consequences of what they're doing. So anyway, I could rant about that, but my life is not in beauty anymore, so I don't really care. It's not that I don't care, but it's just, it is what it is, right? Everybody got to make their money. I get it.
Trust me.
So yeah, so it's like, I went into coaching, and also helping people with their thought processes during the pandemic, because the pandemic was heavy on a lot of people, financially, mentally, emotionally, relationships, like, it was heavy, right? So, and isolation, for myself included. So I needed a way to kind of release and build back connections with people. And I hated Zoom. However, it was the only way that you could essentially connect with people. And I started coaching, but before I started coaching, officially, I got myself a coach. And I paid around £26,000 or £27,000 for a year's coaching with this guy, and it was great.
Wow.
However, it broke me. Not because it wasn't worth it, but because I realized in that the only reason why I needed or I wanted a coach was to be held accountable. So one thing that I pray for is if you have a friend that you know that is like just that type of person, or you have a group of people around you, like your best friends or your cousins or whatever it may be, try to build more of a growth mentality between you all and hold each other accountable. Like really hold each other accountable. I mean, like do book clubs together and like support each other in elevating, right? Because you don't need to spend 27,000 to bloody get a coach, right? You can learn all of these things through Facebook, through YouTube videos, through books, through podcasts, like this, the Promisingpreneur platform itself, like all of these things, it's exactly the same information you're going to get through a mentor or a coach, right? The difference is the direct access. The difference is the direct access to somebody, right? Being able to call someone's phone and say, listen, I'm going through X, Y, and Z. I need you to talk to me, like talk me off the ledge, basically, right? So I get that. When you are paying for direct access, it does cost money. And you have to understand that you pay for that and you will receive that, right? So like people that would pay me for my coaching services, you can call my phone at any time of the day and I will talk you off a ledge if I need to. I will support you in any way if I need to. I would go above and beyond if I can, if I need to, right? However, if you then don't pay somebody for their coaching services or mentor services, don't expect them to show up. They're not going to consistently ask you if you're okay. They're not going to consistently be like in your corner because they're going to have their own things going on. But what you also need to understand, when I was a coach, I had to always say to people, I've got bills to pay too. So if I spend all of my time coaching you, where's my money coming from?
Yeah.
How am I putting food on my table? So yes, it might be expensive, but if you want me to spend this much time on you, I need to be compensated in some kind of way. Coaches and mentors are great, absolutely great. But if someone is doing it for free, just assume that they're not going to be able to show up in the maximum capacity. If you do pay them and they don't show up in the maximum capacity, then more so have a conversation with them because there may be something going on. But if you don't have a conversation with them and you kind of just dwindle the relationship, then you don't get nothing in return.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you don't ask, you don't get, and it's that simple. We're all humans at the end of the day, coach or no coach. No one is a superior human because they have the title of coach or mentor. Do you know what I mean? But no, massive support system having a coach or a mentor. But if you can create that culture between your closest people, do it.
Nice. I love that. Oh, I feel like we need a part 2 to this because I would love to obviously hear more about the pandemic for you in the States.
It was great.
Yeah.
I actually came back.
You did?
I came back 4 days before UK lockdown.
Wow. Okay.
Again, divine timing.
Divine timing.
My partner now, and I'm going to give him the props for this, right? But we started going out whilst I was in America.
Wow.
And then I turned around and said to him, it was probably about a month after we started going out, I was like, this is dead. Why am I here? I believe in love, right? So I believe in being able to express love outwardly. And I'm not in America for any reason. I'm not here because I'm working. I'm here living my best life. Like, I'm here going to shisha bars and New York Fashion Week and going to Burberry and doing styling with the head of Burberry. Like, I was doing all kinds of stuff in America.
Wow.
Right? But I wasn't doing anything for anything's sake. And then I was like, look, the fact that we've started to go out, let's give it a real shot and let me come back to the UK. And he was quite shocked. He was like, but essentially, don't come back for me. I don't want you to like stop doing what you want to do. Like I essentially, like, he commended me for doing what I was doing, right? So, and he got with me knowing that I weren't coming back. So he was willing to make some kind of compromise on his side. But then eventually I was like, I would rather give love a real shot. And then I randomly said to him about a month after we started going out that I was like, I think I want to come back. And he's like, are you sure? He's like, no, sleep on it. And I was like, no, I'm sure. And then I came off the phone to him and I called my mum. And I'd never heard my mum say this in her life. But I was like, Mum, I think I want to come back. She said, yes, good. Come back. She said, I miss you. Come back, quick.
Aww.
I was like,
shocked.
What?
Wow.
My mum told me that she missed me. I said, yeah, okay, Mum. I said, okay. And that she was quick. When I went for 5.5 months to Thailand and wherever I was going, she never said none of that. So, like, go, get out of here, like, whatever. But I was like, oh, wow. Okay. And so then I called him back and I was like, no, even Mum thinks I should come back. And he was like, all right, then cool, give me 10 minutes. Quick. Wow. He booked my flight right back.
Come on.
I said,
yes.
And he booked it back within, I think it was literally like the next week. And he was like, I'll see you at the airport. I said, what?
Oh.
4 days before UK lockdown.
My God.
If I didn't come back, I would have been stuck in America. I actually know people that were stuck in America.
That's crazy. This is one thing I'm going to take from this episode. Divine timing.
Yeah.
So I know, because obviously I know, but the Titanic ship is still sailing. It hasn't sank.
What are you
Meaning that you and your partner is still together. Yeah, it's a love story. And you came back, the Titanic hasn't sinked. It's still sailing.
Oh, it's sailing strong.
Yeah,
what do you mean?
Yeah, but it's just a beautiful love story. It's nice. Thank you, partner, for bringing her back. I was about to say his name, but I had to stop there. But yeah, that's great. I really, that's wonderful. I definitely want to go more into this. I think hopefully we can do a part 2 to this. But again, what I've got out of this episode is divine timing.
Serious things. Believe in it, and I swear,
wow.
Nothing will upset you as much if you just believe that all happens for a reason. It all happens for a reason, and it will come to light eventually. But yeah.
Amazing. Thank you for having me again.
Thank you for having me. Massive. I actually enjoyed this episode as well. It was nice to actually, that was the first time I've ever spoken about the
business partnership.
Yeah, like my business partnerships and like the ups and the downs of it. And don't ever get twisted. I commend my ex-business partner. We actually haven't spoken since that time, since we ended the relationship, but this episode was not to badmouth her in any way. She is a human being at the end of the day. I've made mistakes I'm sure that she didn't like, and I'd pissed her off at certain points. So not in any way was this an attack or anything on her. It's just the realities of what business partnerships was for me, what that business partnership was for me, and how much it actually affected me at the time, and also how much it's allowed me to grow and realize and learn from those experiences and learn from my own shortcomings. So really, I'd say thank you to her for the opportunity to even get the salon in the first place, because if she didn't turn around and say that she would put in the money, I probably wouldn't have done it.
Gratitude is a must.
Hey.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I hope if she watches this, she knows that.
Definitely. Thank you for listening.
You was just listening to the Promisingpreneur podcast. I am Aahliyah Amerat, and thank you so much for listening all the way through. Don't forget to click subscribe and share to at least one person, because that's the only thing that's going to fuel us to carry on.